And away we go. Welcome to Auto Off Topic. What's up, Brad?
Oh, not too much, Andrew. What's going on with you?
Oh, I just got back from the New England Forest Rally a couple days ago.
Excellent.
Yeah,
A good
I
time was
was.
had, I assume.
It was good. I Instead of chasing around taking pictures, I helped a bunch of people as a crew member. So it was our
I
friends with Iron Oxide Racing, which actually, because we didn't have an episode last week, I replayed the Spaghetti is for Finishers episode.
correct. Yeah, Iron
So
Oxide Racing now a two-car team.
that's right. They still have the Golf. Liz drove it with a new co-driver, actually a woman. First name's Allison. I actually can't remember her last name. She's done a lot of co-driving. She's a very good co-driver. So that was
Excellent.
pretty cool. And then Jordan built his own car, a Volvo 240, which
Yeah,
for
from a stock car, which is impressive.
yeah. So somebody building it in his garage, it came out really nice.
Yeah, it's a
It,
very well-built rally car.
and it
So
didn't give us too much trouble.
until it did, yeah.
Um,
Table
and
that for later.
and then I helped. We had three cars total. Tuckaway Racing, Luke and Garnett they have a Mark III Golf, um, with a pretty hot ABA in it. Like it's got a cam, an intake, header. Like the car doesn't make any power below 2,000 RPM. It's pretty
Okay,
cool, and
that's
he's pretty
kind of
fast.
wild. Yeah,
So spoiler alert, they placed third in class.
in the two-wheel drive. What's the
You know
class?
what? I don't know what class. I don't know what classes. I'm so
God,
bad
your
at like paying attention to what's
names.
going on as far as that. Like I was just there to like hang out and like make sure the car is like finished.
Right. I've done service before. It's interesting. It's a different it's a different perspective on the rally for sure.
It is. I know they were in the same class as Jesse. Why can't I think of his last name?
All
Blank on
right,
his
let's
last name.
see. What who are we looking for here?
uh, Luke Horrocks, I believe. Garnett Hayes. You look up the results. This is
Yeah,
riveting. Should have looked this
it
up
is.
beforehand.
I will say that it's interesting. The website that it's on is ewrc-results.com.
Yeah, they do that. It's like that's like an aggregate site that like grabs every rally
Yeah,
finishing thing ever.
except I'm not
But
sure. So they must be in and see, they're not open, right?
no.
Hmm. Oh, ARA.
ARA.
So Keaton and Brandon were the winning event drivers at a Subaru, of course, and then
Yep.
Ken and Gelissimo in a Hyundai. That car must be cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. There's a whole thing with that. It's Semyonk. Where the heck is how do you say his last name? Was driving the
Semchuk,
Subaru.
Semchuk.
Yeah. So I guess the penultimate stage, they're really close, and I was surprised because we were told the roads were really fast by everyone. None of the top guys wrecked. Really surprised because going into the second to last stage, Block was like 20 seconds. No, like 3 seconds behind the fastest Subaru.
Okay.
Um, and then I guess on the second to last stage, he beat the times for the Subarus, like took the
Yeah,
lead.
he finished 9/10 of a second out of the lead over the whole event.
Yeah. And then uh, I guess they had some like, the only thing that really put them behind was they had some like intercom issue or something, they said. I don't know. But there's a big hubbub. So every year go to New England Forest Rally. Every year it's super hot. And every year it's really
Right.
dusty. It's just
Yes.
That's the way the event is.
Yep. Or
And
it's raining. There's only nothing in between.
it doesn't. It hardly ever rains though.
Yeah, it
And even
has
if
a
it does
couple of
rain,
times though. Yeah.
but even if it rains, it doesn't really kill the dust. So because I was talking to one of the older guys at rallies, our buddy Scott, at the end, and I was like, I said to him, I'm like, man, maybe if we got some rain, this dust would have been bad. And he's like, not really, because they're logging roads and they're designed to not puddle and turn into mud. Like the material they
Right.
use to put
So
on the
hard
roads
packed.
is, and it's made to drain really fast. So even if it rained, it would still dry out, and it turns in this real silty, fine dust that just gets into the air and just hangs, especially if there's no wind. And it's
Okay.
like a fog. So
Yeah, which we
anyway,
are well aware of.
yeah, I was blowing brown boogers out of my nose for a day or two, and I wasn't even on stages. I was just in like the parking lot. Um, but anyway, so I guess they didn't do a type of reorder and let the fastest guy go on the road first for the very last stage, and they got caught. Block got caught in dust, even though they gave him a 2-minute dust window for every car, which that turned into a whole thing. Um, and there was this whole thing where they were really, really mad afterwards, and there was a lot of shade being thrown at the uh, award ceremony and stuff. And I was like, all right, whatever, I don't care. We're just playing
Yeah,
with
that seems
our
like normal.
friends.
Yeah, that seems like
So
normal.
yeah,
But it's impressive though that Ken Block was able to gain that much time in the second to last two stages because, like I said, he finished 9/10 of a second behind after the whole event. It's pretty good. So
yeah, and they said they were only slow because of dust, right? So it's like weird.
yeah, and Pastrana was 4 minutes behind them, so it wasn't even I mean, it's close because it's over that much time, but it's also not that close, you know.
Let's see. It should be.
Yeah, I can't find the full results. It only shows the top 14, so I'm not quite sure where everything else is going to be. It just seems
Final
seems a little
results. Here we
off.
go. Two-wheel drive.
Yeah, I was looking there, didn't see their names either.
Two-wheel drive.
Don't see their names there either. And this
These are
riveting radio.
national. Yeah. Apparently, you can't even get the results on the website. I don't know where the
Nope,
results are.
nope. That's what I was looking for. I can't find them. So that's why we
That's
didn't
not our
know, Andrew.
fault.
We tried to prepare and we couldn't be prepared. So there's nothing here. So it's only nationals. It says I don't see none of the local competitors are listed at all.
Yeah, they're regional.
Yep.
Well, that's
Which
dumb
stinks.
and hard to look up. Oh well. Well, um, yeah. Anyway, I don't know why it's late. I'm blanking on his last name. He's local, Jesse. He's
Witzel?
driven Volkswagens forever, and he's very fast.
Jesse Witzel?
Yes, he's in the class. He was in the same class as the other car that I was servicing with Luke and
Okay, that's
Garnett,
cool. Yeah, he's quite
and
fast.
I believe he won the whole class, where it came in second. Uh, the fun thing about regional rally and local rally is that I had just fueled up Luke and Garnett at the fueling area, and because Liz had an issue, we had an extra jug of fuel. She didn't need it, and Jesse was running so hard that the car literally ran out of fuel before it got to the little stupid square that you have to refuel within.
Right.
So him and the co-driver had to get out, and they pushed it because nobody was allowed to touch it except them. They pushed it finally into the fueling area, and he's like, "Does anybody have an extra fuel?" And I was like, "Well, I got an extra can. I'll help you out." Uh, and I was like, "All right." And there's a bunch of officials around. I was like, "Before I touch his car, I can touch his car, right?" They're like, "Yeah, you can put fuel in it. It's okay. You won't break any rules." I was like, "All right, good. Don't get me thrown out here."
Excellent. Or make them lose because some random
Yeah,
dude put fuel
yeah,
in their car.
exactly. So they're like, "No, it's fine. As long as you're in the fueling area, people can refuel it. Any
Right.
crew. But outside of that, it would be a legal service."
Okay. Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I gave
So
them some fuel.
what
They got
all?
they got
Oh,
some more
sorry.
fuel
Go
from other
ahead.
people. They got the car running, and they ended up finishing. So that was kind of cool.
Excellent. So what all is involved now in servicing the car in between stages?
I mean, Luke and Garnett's car, a really well built car. Luke's really easy on equipment. We just put that car up, look it over, double check wheel torques, tire pressures, maybe clean the windows, hand them waters, check fluids. Um, as long as they said the car felt fine, just shipped it.
Right. Which is a
Uh,
easy job. So when I did service quite a few years ago now, I had the same kind of easy job because we were doing crew for Al Moody, and he had a Subaru, and it was a very good car. He's a very good driver. There was no issues. Literally, it was the same thing every service comes in, check the car up, check it over, make sure there's no rocks in the brakes, torque the wheels, check the tire pressures, clean the windows, set him on his way. So it was really like it was almost like a full service gas station more than anything else.
right.
So it was pretty easy.
And I mean, they had like a crack in the header, and the other guy on the crew was a really good welder. He just welded it up like super fast.
Nice.
Um, so then, yeah, that car is really easy. Liz's car, a little more tricky because problem with that car, uh, it's it's not a bad car. It's just like it was a rushed car, and it was a previously purchased car from.
Yeah, it was built by somebody else. You're dealing with somebody else's work, and then it was rushed to get done. And then on top of that, it was wrecked once after that, and then put back together. So there's a lot of
And
more
it's
challenges with that
it's a
car.
tired car.
Yeah,
It did finish though, but like
that's all
that
that
car was
matters.
a little trickier. We had to double check stuff. Oh, the other thing that and Jordan did this too on Luke and Garnett's car. Choke striped everything, which makes perfect sense.
Okay. Yep.
That way you can just go into the car and look. Oh, none of the stripes are broken. Stuff's good.
Everything's good. Yep.
Yeah. So, uh, make it through day one. No problems. No real problems. Um, the Saturday, there's more stages more up north. Uh, and the cool thing now, and in your service parks, we've got cell service. All the cars have to run Rally Safe, which is a GPS tracking unit.
Right.
So Rally HQ and competitors, you know where your team's car is all the time. If anything happens, there's like an SOS button, so the people know where to find the cars, which is cool. So that's cool because we can sit there in the service park and see, oh, they're on stage right now. Oh, they're transiting back. And you kind of look at the map and go, yep, they'll be here. They should be here on time when we're expecting them. So that's cool. But anyway, we get a message on Saturday when Liz had service. Car's overheating. Battery came loose. Hit the fan. Like, okay. Like,
Battery hit the fan.
yeah. So, in like a European car, and it's pretty common to have a battery bolted down at the bottom.
Yep. Yeah, it's a little clip that like clips in the bottom edge of the battery.
Yeah. It can't, like, I guess the battery was a little too small and they'd wedged a piece of steel in there and then bolted it down. And so that piece of steel exited the vehicle because it was
Okay.
bumpy roads. And then the battery slid from its mount towards the engine and smashed into the spinning fan.
Okay. Did it break the battery?
No.
Okay.
But the car overheated.
It broke.
She
It
got it
stopped the fan
back.
from spinning. Yeah.
Because when you're driving, it was sort of okay. But it turns out it was, and luckily, it's the way I wired this fan, is that it just, because it jammed it just blew the fuse after we looked at it.
Perfect.
So,
So it didn't cause
and
a
we were,
fire and didn't burn out the motor.
no. But she missed like 2 stages. So that effectively killed their rally.
Right.
So they just wanted to go out and finish. And then that was the first service. Jordan's car came in. We checked it out. Looked good. Retorqued some stuff. He had bent a couple wheels the night before, and I'd bent them back, like just little lip bends. I hit them back.
He's running the
Uh,
turbo wheels, right?
yep, they're very soft aluminum, apparently.
Apparently, since it's time for different wheels.
Yeah, well, definitely now. So then we, I know he like torque striped a bunch of stuff, and it's something we probably should have checked. We didn't think of it because I've never really seen it happen, but I guess it's from vibrations. Is actually I had it happen once on the first Montero, the 89 Montero. The a brake caliper bolt we think came loose, or it seems like it came loose on Jordan's car, and he was on stage, and it was the right front, and it seems like it came loose, and then the must have been the upper. I'm not sure which side, if they're like which side the brake calipers are on, if they're on the front or in the rear
Hmm.
of the rotor. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I don't
Trailing
remember
or
either.
trailing or forward, whatever they call that.
I think they're trailing on the front of that car, but I'm not
Yeah. Either
almost
way,
positive.
it came loose, and I also didn't realize this. Even though I've owned a couple of Volvos, I never actually did brakes on any of them. I never had them long enough. Uh,
Okay.
a lot of cars have, well, all cars have this. You've got the front and rear brake systems are technically separate. So if you lost one circuit, you'd still have at least two wheels with working brake pedal. And
Yeah,
depending on
dual
the,
circuit. Right. That's been the standard
yeah,
since like 1967.
yeah. And then depending on the manufacturer, like a Subaru is like cross. My G20 I know is a cross system. So instead of having front rear, it's left and right or opposite. So if you lose
Okay.
one, you get a cross brake system. So the car doesn't.
Sure. So you still have front and rear
Yeah, it's a little
brakes.
more stable. Um, either way, it's good to have dual circuit. But what I didn't realize is that the way these Girling calipers on the front of the Volvos are set up, they're dual piston. Each piston is on its own circuit too.
Oh,
So
that's
there's
interesting.
two brake lines, two hydraulic lines going to each front caliper.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't that wild? And then those brake lines, so then those pistons are crossed. So not only do you
So,
have a cross dual circuit system, the
so you have two
individual
lines going to each
pistons,
front caliper,
yeah, so it's redundant lines to each front caliper.
which
So,
normally is good.
yeah, but that's not a normal thing on vehicles at all. Like I
Right.
don't know
Oh, not
many
at all.
vehicles that do. Yeah,
I've never seen that. Anything. Nothing
yeah,
I've owned has ever had that. That's for sure.
yeah. So if you lost one half of the circuit, you'd at least have
You'd still
one
have four
piston
wheel
pushing.
brakes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
That's seems like a good idea in theory.
it is a good idea until your brake caliper comes completely loose. So when it came
Right.
completely loose, it ripped both brake lines out and drained all the fluid. And he was like top of third, I guess, 60 miles an hour, went into a corner, had no brakes.
Huh.
Luckily, it was a spot that had been kind of recently logged, and he somehow found the clearest exit of the roadway.
Yeah. I saw some pictures. It was pretty deep.
There is a video from spectators that were there, and it literally looks like he's exiting the highway. Just drives off.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. I'd like to see that.
And yeah, went right down the embankment. And luckily, it wasn't that bad. It just the brush kind of slowed him down.
Right.
And uh, I forget somebody told us. I forget who told us. I forget how we found out. But we were like, they must be okay because they didn't send an SOS from the rally safe. So you're like, all right, that's good. We know they're fine. Because
Yep.
if the thing sees you stop on stage for some reason, like it's all geofenced,
Sure.
and like your speed comes to zero. One, it's got a G-force sensor, so if you go exceed a certain amount of G-forces, it automatically sends an SOS.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Two, if you just stopped and it didn't see any response from you after a while, like there's a thing you'd have to hit to say, no, I'm okay, I'm alive.
Right.
if you don't hit that, it will also send an SOS. So
So it's kind of foolproof.
yeah, and they've been using things like this in Dakar for a while. So
Which makes
um,
sense because the car is so open and people could be anywhere.
yeah. So anyway, we figured out where they were. We sent our other crew guy Chris because he had a truck and a trailer and all the recovery equipment. It took him like 3 hours to recover the car. So effectively, their rally was done at that
Because it was
point.
so deep.
Yeah,
Yeah. 3 hours to
but
get the car. Plus, they also need to fix the car at that point.
they just put it on the trailer and pulled it out. Like he
I'm
drove the
saying
trailer
if they
downstage.
wanted to finish the rally, they still have to fix the car after that. So who even knows?
They didn't. I don't think they had it out till like the last stage was ended. So
Right.
so then that's how the rally ended, and then I ended up going to the end of the last stage. Wanted to make sure Liz and Allison got out, and then made it back to Sunday River because it was still like another hour from the end of that stage to Sunday River of transit.
Right.
And when I was at the end talking to people I know, they did tell me there was a 2 minute dust window. They gave everyone a 2 minute dust window.
Okay.
So even that's that. I mean, that extends the event by how many cars there are left, which I think there was
So
like
an
out of
hour
68
plus.
starters, there was
Yeah.
34 cars left.
So you get a
So
little over an hour extra.
yeah. So I didn't, for a while. I'm waiting. I'm like, they should, it usually hasn't gone past 8. Now we're like approaching 8:30. I'm like, oh man, I hope that car's okay. Otherwise I'm going to have to go in, flat tow them back to Sunday River because our trailer is already occupied. Um, but triumphantly, they came around the corner at like almost 9 o'clock. And, we're so far up north, it's still kind of light out. So
Right.
that was cool. And then I chased them back down to Sunday River, make sure they got there. And that was the end of the rally.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Mostly a success. So what's the damage report on the Volvo over Jordan? Do you know?
it definitely needs a caliper.
Okay.
Uh, it broke the wheel that the caliper was on. Like it punched
Okay.
through the aluminum, exploded the caliper. A couple of the bumper pieces a little loose. Looks like he bent the bottom of the front right fender in. Like he just pushed it out. But really, the car doesn't look that much worse.
The picture I
Like,
saw, if you didn't tell me, I never would have known.
no, it like, I don't know. It's a Volvo, I guess.
It did Volvo things. Yeah.
It broke the forest.
Yeah. Right. The area didn't need to be. The area is ready to be deforested, and it's taken care of now.
Yeah.
No stress. Well, that's
So that
awesome.
was
I'm glad everybody was good.
yeah, that was fun. Um, yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
We all the cars made it. Well, all the cars made it back home.
Right.
Nobody got hurt. So we'll
Which is all you can really be happy about, you know.
I'll be helping them rebuild and do some other rallies.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like a good time was had. Next year I will be there. I missed it this year, unfortunately, just because I'm had too much going on, and airline tickets right now are a ridiculous price, and I had to do the math of like cost to do the event versus you know not cost to do the event. And the cheapest airline tickets I could find were like $800 round trip. So I was like, I'm not spending $800 to go spend 3 days in the woods, unfortunately, this year. And so it didn't work out. Plus, I got a lot of stuff going on this time of year this year, and it's just gonna happen. But I've only
I
missed it like
was
twice, so
I don't
maybe next year.
understand. It's like super annoying. Like one weekend in the summer is loaded with every single event I would want to go to at once. It's super annoying because your dad's show at Mistlewood.
Yep, which went off pretty big this year. I saw some pictures, some wild
Yep,
stuff.
couldn't go because I was at the rally.
Yep,
Uh, IMSA at Lime Rock Park couldn't go because I was at the rally.
yep.
What else was there? If I wanted to go, the NASCAR race was also that week, this past weekend.
Correct. Don't tell me the results. I still have like 50 laps left to watch.
So yeah, super annoying. That there's
Oh, and the
like,
Audrain did their Young Timer Classics event.
oh yeah, yeah, too many things. Really annoying.
Yeah.
Can we like spread them out, please?
Right. Summer is pretty long. Let's make it all full. Let's not do it all one weekend.
Yeah, one weekend in July. Come on. But anyway, there
Awesome.
was some, yeah, there's some cool car stuff that came out this week
As far
from
as
of
new car
all,
stuff,
yeah, from of all places as Hyundai.
oh yeah, they did their electric hybrid or a hydrogen electric. What are they doing?
It's a hydrogen. It's a fuel cell electric vehicle that uses
Right.
hydrogen. So it's fast charging because you just fill it with hydrogen.
Right. It's damn cool.
It's really cool. It's the Envision 74,
Yeah.
and it's based on the, it looks good because it's based on the Giugiaro designed Hyundai Pony.
Correct. Now, I feel like I've talked about Hyundai ponies on this show before, have I not?
Maybe. I don't remember.
So, do you know what a Hyundai pony is?
I can see it now because I'm looking at the website for the N74.
Okay, the little hatchback one.
Yep.
So they made them from like 1975 until 92 or so, I think.
Yeah.
And they sold them in Canada. They never sold them here, but they did sell them in
Yep.
Canada. So the basic structure of the car, the floor and frame rail structure, is a 1974 Mitsubishi Galant. So the same floor as my gold sedan.
Hmm.
The engine and trans is the 2-liter 4G52, same as my 74 Colt Galant. But the rear diff is out of a German Ford Taunus, which is strange. Um, but the front suspension is all Mitsubishi as well. And actually, a friend of mine has a set to send me of Hyundai Pony front struts because they're actually an inch and a half shorter than the Galant struts, so you can lower the car with those.
Weird.
Right?
But this is based on the Pony Coupe that they never saw it went into production. It was a
Correct. Which was,
concept.
yeah. So the Pony came in a 4-door hatchback and a 2-door pickup truck.
Yeah.
The 2-door pickup truck is one that I would like to actually find one in Canada because I think it's kind of neat. So there are a few left, not very many, but they are wild cars. It's very much like all early Hyundai stuff. It's all badge, or all, I should say, parts bins from other companies put together to make a car for them. But anyway,
It's interesting though. The side profile of the Pony Coupe is very much of that.
Lancia Beta, or not Lancia Beta, not Beta, the Lancia Monte Carlo, what they call
Yeah,
it here.
yeah. But I even see in the B pillar and C pillar is Starion.
Well, that's what I see in the concept
Yeah,
for sure. I looked at it and I was like, man, it's almost like Hyundai gave us the new Starion we've been begging Mitsubishi for forever. And I know the popular thing people have been saying is DeLorean, but that's just because people are sheep and don't know other cars exist. And also that it's
it's because
silver.
it's silver.
Yeah. If it wasn't silver, you wouldn't say DeLorean. It has the same B pillar, A pillar as a Starion. It's got box flares. It has the same kind of squared off rear hatch area with the separate hatch and separate side glass. It's all which the DeLorean doesn't have. It's all very very Starion looking, and I love it because of that. And I love it even if I wasn't a Starion fanboy that geeks out of Starions all the time. It's a super cool design, and it's just modern enough while looking old and not being like in your face retro. I feel like every retro car is always like, oh, look at me, I'm super cute and retro. Whereas this is like a modern car that harkens back enough to retro style.
Well, what do I keep saying? If you're gonna give me something futuristic, give it some style for me.
Yeah, exactly. And the headlights are cool. So Hyundai's been doing a bunch of concepts lately. They did one of the Galloper, which is their Montero based thing. They did one of the ugh, the
Is it
names
what is? It's not the Debonair because it's Mitsubishi, but it's their
it's the
version of it.
Hyundai version of the Debonair. Yeah, that one was super cool as well. And they've done a bunch of cool concepts lately. They all have these like very modern but also vintage looking LED lights. So they do the shape of old school car lights, but with LEDs. So not like just replacing a housing with an LED housing that looks terrible, but making their own like custom lights that look like square housings but aren't. I whatever they're doing, I'm like way in for it. And their N division, which is headed by the guy who used to run the M division of BMW, which is why they're so cool all of a sudden, has come on strong in the past few years. I mean, that N Veloster was like performance car of the year, and this year they have the N Elantra and the N Kona, and they've both been getting like super high praise from the media as well. So and I like their tagline, which shows the N like their stylized N, and then it's N never stop driving, which is cool.
Yeah, I like the idea that they're trying to make exciting alternative fueled vehicles.
Yep.
With
Yep.
that, and then part of me is sad though because I'm like looking at this and I'm like, well, this is what Mitsubishi should have become.
Yeah. Especially considering Hyundai wouldn't exist without Mitsubishi, so I think it's even a little more irritating because of that.
Yeah, they certainly could have. Mitsubishi could have built a car like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it is. It is a
But
Mitsubishi. It is a Starion. Oh, I just pulled it up on the internet. First article. Hyundai's hydrogen powered Envision 74 concept is the DeLorean concept we wanted. Stop it. It's not a DeLorean.
no, it's
Not
not.
everything is a DeLorean. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that everybody wants it to be a Starion either. It's obviously clearly my own internal wishes and hopes, but I don't see any DeLorean in the car at all, other than it's slightly wedge shaped and it's silver.
Yeah, it's cool because it's twin motor rear wheel drive.
Right.
Um, Even the interior is really cool looking. It's a really cool concept, and it's real. It's not a render. It's
That's the
real.
coolest. As I say, the coolest thing with the whole thing is that it's not a render. It's an actual vehicle.
Yep.
So, and they built two of them too. They built one which is a very modern style, and it's very cool. The RN22E, which is their like super hopped up version of the other future electric Hyundai, the Ioniq 6.
Yeah.
So it's super like I don't know. The Ioniq 6 has a lot of Porsche lines to it
Yeah.
without being a direct copy. But the one they showed here, and there's videos of these things like driving and drifting and just being beaten the crap out of, and
Yeah.
they're pretty exciting to watch. And I kind of like them. I kind of want one.
But then speaking of Hyundai's, we were behind one on the way home from work today, and Stephanie and I carpool. And we're on Route One, and I'm like, it's very hot and humid today. Take a drink if we're talking about weather. And I'm like, can we see the humidity? Is that what we're seeing? She's like, I think so. And then we get like a mile up, and it's a Hyundai Santa Fe, like early one, a real
Sure.
bubbly one, completely mosquito fogging in the entire Route One, like
Oil.
oil. Yeah, that
So
blue smoke. Like I cannot believe. Yeah, so that Mitsubishi Base
I was
V6
gonna say you can blame Mitsubishi for that one.
it's totally lost its valve seals. I mean,
That's
this thing is pouring so much oil. Like it literally looked like a NASCAR when they blow the engine. I'm like, how is this
that's
guy still driving this thing down Route One?
6G72 problems.
I mean, it's mine sometimes would blow some smoke on startup. This thing is like the guy was just idling in traffic and it was billowing oil
Right.
smoke. It's like how are you still driving this?
There was a brand new 2022 F-150 in front of me on the highway the other day. Still on temp tags that was blowing white smoke like that, or
Must have
blue
lost
smoke
the
like that.
turbos. Maybe it was a EcoBoost and lost the turbos.
It was a brand new, still temp tag 2022 truck, like, and it was already blown up. I was like, oh man, that's a warranty claim right there for sure. And I saw this like huge plume of like blue and white smoke, and I was like, oh, somebody's having a bad day. And I got up to it, and I was like, holy crap, it's a brand new truck. What the hell happened here? So it can happen to anything, I guess. All it takes is
Yeah.
that one manufacturing flaw, and next thing you know, you're in trouble. So
Speaking of
table
manufacturing
that
flaws,
too, because I have a blue smoke conversation for later. But moving on.
I was gonna say, speaking of manufacturing flaws, what do you get for project car updates?
Oh, those aren't manufacturing flaws. Those are just time flaws. Man, where did I leave off? It's been so long since we recorded an episode that didn't have a guest, or we were just talking
I
about
think you had
cars.
put the Civic back together.
Oh, and it was broken still.
Yeah.
All right, so I put the Civic back together, and it was broken still.
No, you put
Um,
it back together and you had adjusted the valves, I think, and it ran. Maybe. Maybe we
oh,
talked about that.
right. We adjusted the valves, and it ran, but I still needed a new cam because in the horrific rookie mistake that I made. Let me rewind it a little bit anyway, just because. So the stupid car, I mean the beautiful car, the stupid car was running fine when we bought it. That's the reason we bought the car. It was super cheap. It ran great. Didn't blow smoke. Had ice cold air conditioning. Dropped a valve. Fine. Life goes on. It is what it is. Swap the cylinder head. Huge rookie mistake. Like the biggest of rookie mistakes. Didn't. So I'm going to admit to something right now, and everybody's going to make fun of me. So you all ready? Starting with you, Andrew.
All right. Go ahead.
I have a torque wrench. My torque wrench goes to 20 foot pounds.
Okay.
The torque spec on the cam tower on a Honda engine is 14 foot pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a torque wrench that goes that low. So
14
in
foot pounds
my
is like wrist.
what's that?
14 foot pounds is like wrist tight.
Right. So in my stupidity, my brain says, what's 6 foot pounds? I'm going to use my 20-pound torque wrench, and I won't go all the way to click. I'll stop it before it gets there. So that's how I put the cam tower on.
Okay.
When we went to start the car, it cranks over. And everything seems fine, but it doesn't sound like it's making compression. I initially thought the valves were way out of whack. What was happening was the the cam has a keyway on it that locks the cam gear in, correct?
Yeah.
The torque of the starter motor is apparently stronger than that keyway, which doesn't seem correct, but it is. The difference between 14 foot pounds and 20 foot pounds was enough to lock the cam in place. The motor turned over and it snapped the keyway off the cam. And the cam gear just spun freely on the cam. Which is why it
Really?
didn't sound like it was making compression, because it wasn't spinning the cam.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Right? So that difference between 14 foot pounds and 20 foot pounds is apparently make or break.
You're talking about
And
the caps that go over the cam
yes,
shaft?
yep.
I mean, those really shouldn't.
So specifically, it's the ones in the ends that have the seal on them.
It's weird. Usually
It's a
they're like, they have like dowels that line them up, and I wouldn't think that you could crush them.
yeah. Well, you can apparently. So that's what happened, and that's why that all went down. So trust me, I didn't believe it either at first. But once we figured it out, we took the cam out before we even went out and bought more parts, because now we're like, we probably just bent all the valves because the pistons are flying up and down and the valves are staying still. Right? So some of them probably got hit. So now we're all annoyed. I pulled the cam out. We lined it up to where the cam gear and the keyway were and like tacked it together and then put it back together. and kind of like hand tightened everything. Like 14 foot pounds isn't very much, so we just hand tightened everything and did a compression test with that, and everything was fine. It made 130 across the board, which is good. It's a healthy engine. I think 120 to 140 or something was the range. So it made like 128, 128, 127, 128 or something like that. So we were totally stoked. It's like, all right, I'm not going to drive this car though with the cam gear being like barely held on. I'm going to get another cam and another cam gear from a junkyard car. So I had a friend of ours who was at the junkyard said, "Hey, there's two D16 Honda Civics here and one D15 car, so I can get the cam out of a D16 car and the cam gear out of a D15 car because that's what we have in our current setup." He's like, "Do you want to grab that?" And we're like, "Absolutely." So it was like $40 in parts, right? So he grabs all those, comes back, puts it together. All is well. The only issue is the crank seal is leaking, which we didn't do the first time. We're sure I should have. Went ahead, did the crank seal again, had to do the timing belt again, everything. We were able to, well, we had to do the timing belt anyway because the cam gear was off, right? Um, got everything worked out, get the car all back together. I don't have valve cover bolts. Like, whatever, we're just going to start it and it'll leak oil. We know it, but it's fine. So we start it and it's wrapping like crazy. We're like, man, this car is going to be the death of us. Look down, start playing with stuff. The timing belt is super loose. Super loose. Like you can move it way too much. So apparently it's supposed to be tight enough so you can like turn it a quarter of a turn on the front side. And then not much more than that. It snaps back. So what I didn't realize is there's no tensioner on this setup. There's like the tensioner's built into like the gear itself. I mean the pulley itself, not pulley, the like the guide pulley. It doesn't have like a spring loaded tensioner. And in order to set it, you have to manually crank the engine backwards 2 full rotations before you start it. And it sets the tension on the belt properly. Didn't know that. So anyway, we did that and started the engine again, and it was nice and quiet, and all was well. It was pissing out oil everywhere, so we shut it down. Said, all right, we'll get some valve cover bolts for it. Got the valve cover bolts for it yesterday, put it all together, moved the car over here, fire the car up. It's literally smoking like it doesn't have valve seals at all, which it didn't do before. So, runs great, sounds good, doesn't smoke at idle, smokes the second you get on the throttle. So now I got to figure that out. If it's a big deal, the car is being sold as is. If it's something simple, I'll fix it. But I'm not tearing the motor apart again. It's taking away time from other project cars. So at this point, it's like just going to stop. You know what I mean? So it's a bit frustrating, but I was hoping to have the car as a commuter for at least the rest of the summer because it has like super dark tinted windows and ice cold air conditioning and gets 40 miles to the gallon. But not sure that will work so well now. So
It's really weird.
it's all weird, right? And I guess it all could have been saved by me preparing a little better. Had I bought like a manual and read up on how to do the timing belt properly, and instead of just reading specs on the internet, I probably would have figured it all out. But
Yeah,
hey, it is
I
what it is.
mean, that's only what I talk about all the time. But don't listen to me.
I know, and honestly, I do have manuals for everything else, and it just was one of those things where I wasn't expecting to do the work. The car isn't anything that I bought with the intention of like keeping it forever, so it was just like one of those things where I was like, "Oh, it shouldn't be a big deal. It's a single cam car. It's a very simple setup. It's not a VTEC car. Like it's literally just an 8 valve head. Like how hard can this be, right?" But turns out pretty hard. So
Yeah, it's not that they're hard. It's that there's like quirks you don't know about.
yep. Yep. If
Um,
if it was a Mitsubishi, it would have been back up and running like nothing, but it's not. So
and there's probably PDFs of that or something online. It's probably not even a book you have
I'm
to
sure
buy.
there are. I'm sure there are. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. We're going out of town tomorrow, so I'm just going to kind of let it sit and I'll think about it and I'll do some reading while I'm out and about in the road and go from there. So, what other news do I have? Oh, the eclipse is broken. That's a fun one. So, fun story with the eclipse. Where do you want me to start?
I don't know.
It wasn't broken last time we talked, right?
Not at all.
Okay. So, rewind to a week ago Friday. So, like 10 days ago. I'm driving home from work. Now, there's no radio in the car right now. I took the radio out to put an aftermarket radio in, and they sent the wrong harness with the radio. So I didn't have a harness to put the radio back in. I wasn't going to reinstall the old radio. I was like, I'll just wait for the harness to come and it'll be fine.
Man, what's up with us in radios?
Right? Exactly. The connector was literally backwards. So it has two big pins and then like the six small pins, and the two big pins on the wrong side of the connector. So I have the right connector now, so I can fix it, but I'm not going to fix it till the car runs. So let me fast forward and rewind even before then. I got the windows tinted in the car because I drive it every day, and the German spec glass in the side doesn't have any UV protection in it. Like, you put your sunglasses on, you don't see any bubbling or anything in the window. It's totally clear. And it burns on the way home, and I get in the car after work, and I can't even touch the steering wheel. It's so hot. I know. I moved to Arizona. It's my fault. But nonetheless, um, found a great tint shop here in town, thanks to Jordan here. Vader Tint was the name of it. I'll throw their name out there. They showed me all the different films they have and like the super fancy, extra good new ceramics that they have that block out like 90% of the UV or 98% of the UV, and they also block out heat while still having the same percentages of normal tint. So got some of that done. Got it done pretty dark because the roof is black in the car, so it looks good. It's like 15% all around, except for the windshield, obviously. Um, Car looks killer, and it's so much better in the hot sun after work now.
Yeah, it's way better having tint.
Yeah, it's amazing how
Even
much
just
better
putting
it
it
is.
in the cars here, because,
Yeah,
like I said, when we're driving south into work, the sun is on you. When you're driving north to go home, the sun is on you.
yeah. Well, the worst part here is that all the roads are a grid. So if you're driving, you don't even like the road does never even bend. So the whole time you're driving, you're just sun is just pouring in the driver's window for the same reason, driving north, driving south. So, anyways, that was all good. And then that following Friday, I'm driving the car home, and now the radio's not in the car. This is another embarrassing story. Everything's my fault this week, Andrew. So there's no way around it. I'm holding a can of our favorite Polar Seltzer in my right hand. Right.
Okay.
I'm driving down the road, and I rested it on the center console for 1 second to change into my sunglasses from my regular glasses. And as I did that, somebody cut me off and I hit the brakes.
All right, it's just
I,
water. No big
I,
deal.
I reached for the can, and you know how you reach for something and you just miss it from your grasp and like you fling it because it like rolls out of your fingers?
Yeah.
So I flung it and it disappeared into the dashboard because the
Oh, it went
radio's
through
gone.
the double din opening.
The giant doubled in opening. And it's a full can of
Oh
seltzer now
no.
bouncing around inside the dashboard.
Oh,
Which,
that's where the ECU is.
if you know these cars, that's where the ECU is. Yes. So anyway, the ECU is totally bone dry. I'm like, crap, that really sucks, and I'm really pissed off. I fish it out of there. It's half empty now, so I'm like, all that water went somewhere. And I'm like driving the highway trying to look at the ECU, and everything's nice and dry on the connectors in the ECU. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. Also, fun fact: looking at the ECU, it was replaced in 2016, so it's a fairly new ECU. Um, or remanufactured in 2016, I should say.
Yeah, they can still go bad though. even after they're remanufactured. I've had that
Anyway,
happen. I've gone through like two of them.
so I'm driving down the road, and all of a sudden, I put the clutch in to shift gears, the revs drop, and the car dies. I'm going fast enough that I'm able to coast off to the side and get on like the breakdown lane on Highway 17 here in Phoenix, which is like it's rush hour. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I pull over, I open the hood, and I'm like, all right, what's happening here? Now I also forgot to say that I did a full tune-up on the car the weekend prior. So I did plugs and wires. I did a valve cover gasket, PCV, and an oil change. So I'm like, what did I screw up? I must have screwed something up. I don't know what it is. I'm looking around the car. I'm looking at all the connections. Everything seems fine. I don't know what it is. The crank in the car over, it's not starting. I'm like, crap, maybe I got water on something I shouldn't have got water on. So anyway, I'm on the side of the road. I got the hood up just so I'm more visible. Um, I get back in the car. I Hail Mary, start it one more time. Fires right up.
Hmm.
Sweet. I jump out of the car, slam the hood, get back on the road, drive all the way home. Not a problem at all. This is Friday. Car only has like 16th of a tank of gas in it. Like I was planning on getting gas that night. So it's pretty low. Like it's just above the line where like the light will go on, right? But the
It's
light's not
pretty
on.
low.
It's pretty low, but the light's not on. The annoying thing is when you're commuting in a car that has a tiny gas tank, you have to get gas all the time. It's super dumb. Anyway, I'm like, all right, maybe talking to a friend, talking to Chris about it. He's like, maybe we have this problem on the Audis out here when the tank is really low and the car is that low to the ground and it's 115 degrees. The heat from the pavement and the heat on the fuel in the tank and the heat from the return fuel in the tank, everything just combines to boil the fuel and you get a vapor lock issue. Maybe you had vapor lock. I was like, I've never heard that in a fuel injection car, but I guess that makes sense. So the next morning, I go to run an errand, and I'm on my way to run the errand. I haven't gotten fuel yet. One of my things to do this morning is to get fuel. On the way to this errand, the car dies after it's been on for a little bit. I'm like, all right, same thing. Shut it off. I wait. 15 minutes later, fire the car up, drive off. So to me, something's overheating, right? So maybe it is that fuel. Fill the car from, E to full. Drive the car from that Saturday all the way through the week to Friday. Every commute to and from work, not a problem at all. I'm like, sweet. It must have been that issue, right? Because I've been keeping over a half tank in it. I haven't had an issue. Chris was right. That's what it was. Not a big deal. I'll just remember that I can't run the tank low in the summertime. Friday night, after the whole week is over, I'm out with Naomi. We're running a few errands. We're all done with our errands. Actually, I registered the Porsche, ironically now. I go to drive home, and we pull out of the Target parking lot in Bell Road here. And I'm in first gear. Everything's good. Shift into second. Car dies. I'm like, God damn it. This almost a full tank. What the hell? Same thing. I have enough speed. I'm able to coast off the road into a Walgreens parking lot. She's like, what do we call a tow truck? I'm like, no, just give it 10, 15 minutes. Something will cool off. The car will start. I got to figure out what's wrong with this car. So 10, 15 minutes goes by. No start. Now I get out. I'm looking at everything. No start. So I
Is it
start
crank no
reading.
start?
It's crank, 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 crank. No start. Yep. So I crawl onto the car and I'm like, hey, can you crank it for me? Because the fuel pump doesn't kick on until the starter engages, I don't think. I got to double check that.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I'd have to look.
Yeah. So I'm under the car. I'm like, all right, crank the car. And I hear a crank in the car. And I can hear what sounds like the fuel pump kicking on. I'm like, all right, well, the fuel pump's fine. So I'm doing a little more research. And I'm reading other people that have had this fault. And it seems like people have had the fault where the car does it a couple times and restarts, and then eventually doesn't start. And every time that happens, it's been um, the ejector control module, the ICM. It's this little like 8-pin connector on the side of the block underneath the coils or the coil pack. You know what I'm talking about?
It's the igniter.
The igniter is a good word for it. They
It's
don't call it
flat.
that. They call it an ICM. So if you look up igniter,
Uh,
there's you look up igniter everywhere. It doesn't exist for Mitsubishi. They call it an ICM. But yes, it's an igniter.
Weird. I think
That's
I've only ever heard people call that the igniter.
yeah. Well, look one up right now. You can't find one for a Mitsubishi called that. It's called ICM or I think it's ICM, injector control or ignition control module. Anyway, so like everybody says it's that. I'm gonna buy one. It's probably what it is. I'm not gonna diagnose this any further. It'll be here in a day from Amazon at $16, whatever. So that part came in, and I switched it all over. It's not easy to get, super easy to get to, and cut my arm all up. But nonetheless, I got it taken care of. I'm like, great, car's gonna start now. Go sit in the car. Nothing. Crank, 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 no start. So I start going back to the books and reading. Do you know what is inside that pocket where the ECU is when my soda can went? On the bottom where all the water went?
Uh, no, out of the top of my head, I don't remember.
That's where the fuel pump relay lives. So maybe the fuel pump relay went bad. Maybe the fuel pump went bad. Um, I'm not going to. I don't even know at this point. I'm super frustrated. I don't have those parts on hand. I look up how to do a fuel pump on this car because every Mitsubishi I've ever dealt with is done through the floorboard, right? Only
Yeah.
the front wheel drive Eclipses don't have an access for it. You have to drop the tank. So haven't done it yet. I just didn't have time. There's too much going on this week. We're going away tomorrow. I had too much going on with work and with getting ready to go, so it's not been fixed now. Um, I'm just going to order a relay and a pump. That way I have them both on hand. I think what I was hearing under the car when I was having to turn the key was actually the power antenna. But I was all frustrated and the side of the road broken down, so
Car doesn't have a power antenna.
yes, it does.
No, it should have a whip antenna.
It's got a power antenna.
What?
Yep,
It's weird.
yep, it's got a power antenna. I guarantee you that.
It's weird.
So
Every DSM has a whip antenna.
every American market DSM,
Weird.
yep, it's got a power antenna. So it doesn't go up and down, but the motor kicks on. So, but the radio's not in there. So maybe it's not that. I don't know. I gotta do more digging. I'm a little bit frustrated with it. I don't know. Sometimes I have a harder time diagnosing fuel injected newer cars because I don't really know where to go. Um, it's too old to have OBD ports to just plug in and tell you what's wrong, but it's too new to just be, a fuel filter and a carburetor. So
It's super easy. You either have power at the fuel pump connector or you
or you
don't.
don't, yeah. But the problem is I can't get to it without jacking the carb and taking the tank down, and I don't want to. I don't want to go through all that and not have the part on hand. You know what I mean? I'm not planning on selling the car anyway, so I'm just going to buy the fuel pump and I'm going to buy
There's
the.
no. There's a fuel pump power check port under the hood. Now that I'm remembering it,
Is there?
I'll find it for you after the podcast here.
If that exists, I'll do it tonight. Go from there.
There is a yes. There's a plug on the firewall that you can check for power at.
Okay, interesting.
If I'm remembering right, I'm not imagining it.
Anyway, I ordered a repair
It's a pretty
manual.
common thing that. Oh, I was just gonna say I have an extra one. I could just mail it to you.
Oh, well, I ordered. Well, was it a good one or a Chilton's?
I have like extras the old Haynes one. It was probably one
Yeah.
of yours that ended up at my house.
Probably. Well, I ordered the Chilton's one, so when you come out here, bring an extra Haynes one if you got one. That'd be great. Won't hurt to have
And I have the
both.
factory one.
Yeah, well, I won't steal that from you, but I didn't. Nobody had a factory one easily available right now, so I just ordered the Chilton. But anyway, so that's the story with that car right now. It's not running; it's broken. I got to finish diagnosing it. I just haven't had time yet. But like I said, I'm going to order the fuel pump and the relay anyway, just because it won't hurt to have them on hand.
Where's
Um,
the relay from?
what do you mean?
Where are you getting the relay from?
There's one. There's some on eBay,
Yeah,
like
because I
used
was gonna
ones.
say it's like a specific like. It's not like a normal looking relay. It's like a big
No, it's a big
fat
silver
looking
box.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's a bunch. There's a bunch on eBay. They're all used, but they're tested. So
Yeah, I
that's
have a couple sitting around here that I pulled out of parts cars.
no. Anyway, I don't know if it's the same for the front wheel drive and turbo and non-turbo. I think it is, but whatever. So
It might
regardless,
be.
car's broken. It's annoying, but the good thing is it broke on the way back from the DMV registering the 944. So at least I've had that registered this week. So, like I said, I'll fix it when I get back. I'm just frustrated at this moment in time. Too much going on to fix it. So,
It's probably the fuel pump. Usually they'll kind of want to run for a bit when the ECUs are going bad.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, usually you can smell the ECU too when it's burnt up
Nope.
inside. No.
No. I was never able to.
Yeah. I
I had a
tried
bad
that.
one.
So,
Didn't smell.
hmm.
I don't know. I've had one. I had one go bad. Had it fixed. A few years later, went bad again. Had it fixed again. It's been good so far.
Well, here's a thought. Because the other day I was super frustrated and I was like, I'm just going to send it somewhere and have it fixed because I don't feel like dealing with it. And then I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Yeah.
Should I just send it somewhere and have it fixed, or should I try to fix it myself?
There's a couple things we can check, but
Okay.
the problem is you can send it somewhere to have it fixed, but I'm not sure they're going to do it right.
Right. That's part of my
So
thought. My other
so
thought
it's
is
like
like,
pointless to send it to someone who's just going to do just as poor as you, no offense, at diagnosing it. So
right.
you might as well try to diagnose it.
All right. Well, that's my thing. We've built this whole image of ourselves with this podcast as these DIY guys do everything ourselves, right? So I was like,
Yeah.
I was just gonna send it somewhere, and then I was like, I can't do that. Like,
It's like I had the Golf over at Audubon. They did my oil change.
sure,
It's a brand new car, right?
right,
That's why I had it over there because I don't want to deal with
sure,
it.
and also you have a history of being done because it's now in a
Yeah.
system somewhere.
And it's like a whole they got to drop that tray and it's a whole thing,
Sure.
right? But like that car's really easy to diagnose because it has all the OBD2
It,
stuff. And
right.
everybody's used to using modern cars, right? So if you bring a car that's 30 years old to a place now, they're like, They're like, what are you doing? They're like, get a new car, idiot.
Yeah, it's true. Which is what my brain was telling me all week
Yeah.
long. I kept looking at like what the cheapest brand new cars are to buy, and I was like, I could see myself in an Elantra. I can't, by the way, but that's where my brain went all week. And I was like looking at non-diesel Volkswagen station wagons, like my old one, but just with the four
Yeah.
cylinder. And I was like, they're like $6,000. I'll just buy one of those. No, I have enough cars. I should be able to make them run. So basically, my stories today on this entire podcast are all just my cars are broken. I try to fix them, and I'm dumb. So it's got me down, got me a little down. We'll put it that way. So,
All
and
right.
especially because I'm literally going to be out of town for 10 days, so I'm going to be stewing on this now for 10 days, and I'm like, shit, so annoying.
All right. I've got a satisfying project car update.
Okay, hit me
I
with it.
started the Adventure Driven Design bumper kit,
Yep,
the Montero. I
correct.
Josh had some time. This is when I was on vacation. I was able to call him, actually FaceTimed, looking at the truck, looking at the kit. He was telling me about it, how you set it up. Because I was kind of confused with the wings. You can mount the wings inside or outside. Like he's like, oh, on the new kits, I actually write outside.
Okay,
Because I was like, first had it together. I'm like, this doesn't look wide enough because it's adjustable width for narrow body and wide body trucks. If you do it one way, it'll only fit on a narrow body truck. If you do
okay,
it the other way, you can adjust it.
sure.
So I had figured that out. You get the center section in, it's got little like square holes and notches on the two end plates in the center section, and you actually hammer those together. and you can make them nice and square. And we used some. My dad helped me with this. We used some nice big wood clamps he had, and made the thing nice and tight. And then I tacked it, and then I put it back on the truck, and we got a big straight edge, and we put the wings on, because one of the things Josh was telling it, when you do the wings, if you don't have them like hooked to a straight edge, they'll like fall outwards and twist, so
Okay.
they'll be crooked. So we got it
Which you don't want,
all
obviously.
perfectly straight. It was kind of crazy. I didn't even really expect it. Well, the front of this truck is apparently has never been hit. It's nice and square.
Right.
And then sitting in my dad's garage, which has a good level floor, and the straight edge on it, which was actually an 8-foot level, the bubble and the level was perfectly level. I did not expect that. I
Nice.
don't know why. I was like, just
Oh,
I
it's a
was like, it'll
30
probably
year
be
old
a little
truck
bit
or a
off,
20-year-old
right?
truck. Yeah. You just assume it's going to
It's
be.
yeah, it's sitting on suspension. Like I didn't, I cranked the torsion bars. I didn't. Who knows if I did them evenly?
That sounds like we all know now.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. I had it all tight, nice and straight. I think I tacked it on the truck real quick, pulled it off. I did all my welds from the inside, and then the hardest part is it's the bumper kit is made from flat steel folded into origami to make the
Correct.
shape.
Yep.
And Josh has told me in the newer kits he's closed up these split gaps on the wings. But he said the best thing to do, and I went up to Home Depot, got 1/8 inch round stock
To fill it.
to fill it, put it in from the back, tack
Yep.
it like you said, and then I'm not trying to jump a huge gap with the weld.
Right.
I got them all welded up nice. It really stiffened up the end pieces. I ground them down. It looks pretty good. It's like cool looking. So
Have you posted pictures of it? I don't think you have.
no, I was gonna do the whole thing like start to finish. I'll post some pictures of it.
Oh, okay.
I got a stinger for the front of it, which he showed me how he sectioned his to make it wide enough. So I ordered extra Dom tubing. I got to cut Dom tubing that fits inside of the stinger and then extend it like 3 inches out. And then I'll
Right.
weld that and then weld it to the bumper. And then that has little gussets to go on it because I want to make sure it clears my fog lights I'm putting in. And I got a couple pre-made gussets from Summit that I'm going to put on the inside because the top piece, right, is flat, but the bottom is kind of open. And there should be space where I can add these little 3-inch gussets that'll kind of help if you get tapped on the edges. It'll help make it stiffer.
So for those that aren't kind of unaware what's happening, that bumper kit is kind of like a what's the big brand everybody knows?
ARB.
Yeah, like an ARB style front bumper, but made locally here in Phoenix by
Yeah, it's a
Montero
DIY kit.
Montero
And even
guru Josh.
and even the ARB one, if you do find a Montero one, they weren't made for US Montero, so you even still have to do some modifications to the way they mount.
So it's just a better opportunity because you're helping out a local in the scene, and also getting a cool part.
Yeah, it kind of ends up being there's a Montero uniform, and it's ADD skids and ADD bumper.
Sure, it's not a bad thing.
But I was looking at the one of the Luke, who owns the Mark III rally car, has I think it's a 95 Land Rover in that trophy yellow
Yep.
with an ARB bumper on it. And I was looking at the thickness of the metal. I'm like, it's comparable to the ADD kit.
Sure.
And then,
Which I think is the whole point of the ADD.
yeah. And then, like, I was looking at our buddy Jordan's Xterra. That's got a big bumper on it. That feels like it's a little bit thicker metal, but pretty close. But it's got
Yeah, that was a
powder
different
coat on
company
it.
too.
Yeah, that's like some extreme, like the company's like Extreme something.
I think the company is called Extreme.
Yeah,
It says Extreme on the front of it.
yeah. I got to drive that truck around Saturday. That truck's a fun truck.
Yeah, it is a nice truck.
6-speed. It's cool. But anyway, I was comparing and looking at it. So it's pretty comparable. It actually feels a little bit lighter than the factory one, which is kind of cool. So you're not throwing a bunch of weight on the front of the truck.
Which it looks like you are, at least.
It does, but it's pretty stiff, which is good, but also not super heavy, which is also good. So you're not like
And
nose diving
it's
into
cool because
braking.
it makes nice mounts for like fog lights and winches and stuff.
The winch actually goes between the frame rails
Right.
and underneath the bumper.
But that's what
The
I'm saying.
bumper,
He makes a winch
it,
mount, does he not?
he does, but it goes under the bumper because it mounts to the frame rails. The bumper is not a recovery point on these
Okay.
trucks.
Okay.
You will rip stuff apart. There's nice factory welded recovery points on the end of the frame rails.
Okay.
There's like a eyelet and a hook. That's where you recover. If you yank on the bumper, you'll rip it right off the mounts.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it's just some 12 mil bolts going through the top of the frame horns that are also, the holes are slotted, so you can adjust the bumper there from the factory, but they're not.
Okay.
You're not meant to pull in that bumper.
And
Oops.
his kit has slotted bolts in it too, I think, too, or slotted holes too, to compensate for old
Yeah, so you can
parts.
get it all
Okay.
adjusted up.
Yeah. Nice. So are you happy with the fitment of it now?
Yeah, it looks good.
Awesome. Are you gonna paint
Um,
it?
oh yeah, I want to finish welding on it and finish drilling holes in it. Oh, I did mount my license plate in it. I drilled holes in it and added rib nuts for the license plate already.
Excellent.
But yeah, it's gonna be, which it's kind of crazy. I didn't really, we eyeballed it to the end of the fenders because again, every truck's a little bit different. But this truck must be pretty square because literally between the two wings where they overlap onto the centerpiece, measuring it, it's perfectly 30 inches. Like not 30 and a quarter, not 29 and whatever. It's perfectly on like 30.
Interesting. Good
Yeah.
though.
It just worked out that way. Like it's just a nice square bumper. So, and I got some practice with welding on decently thick material, which is
Yeah, I was
definitely
gonna say.
easier.
So new skill acquired. You're a welder.
I, yeah, I'm a basic welder.
You can weld. That's all that
Yeah,
matters.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad that that project worked out. I know at first you were a little bit like, "What is happening here?" But you sat down and figured it out and got it all done. So that's good.
Yeah. So then finishing it, I'm gonna coat. I got you told me to get etching primer,
Yep.
so I'll have to clean. It's just got a little bit of surface rust on it because it's just humid here. I got like flap discs and surface prep discs for my grinder. I'll get it back to bare metal, etch it, hit it with etching primer,
Right.
and then I think I'll do like a couple coats on the inside of that VHT epoxy paint that's like chassis paint, just
Okay.
black. The outside, I'm gonna do. It's I'm like blanking on what they call it. It's the bedliner material, but it's like the nice stuff that's colored. So it's silver. Is the
Colored
name
to
for it.
match the truck, pretty much.
It's really close to the silver on the truck,
Okay.
and it's close enough that what I'm gonna do, and that's why I took the decals off like a year ago, 2 years ago, is I'm gonna just gravel line all of the two tone silver. So the bumper will be it's like gravel guard silver,
Okay.
the silver in the bottom gravel guard silver, and then the back bumper somebody bumped into it, so I'm gonna try to push it out, make it look nicer, and then the end caps that are all faded silver paint will be gravel guarded silver. I'll
Sounds
leave the
perfect to me.
chrome in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll look nice. Bring it all together that way.
Yeah, so it'll be real subtle that the bottom is all gravel guard, and that also helps protect it because it doesn't have any any fender flares, any mud guards anymore. Those factory mud guards, because you can see behind the rear tire, behind the front tire, where that round part of the fender is. It's starting to get the paint's starting to get worn off from rocks.
Just from rock chips. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the truck's really coming together.
Yeah, that's yeah, I got that dumb snorkel on there I did last summer. Really getting the overland glam up.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do something, right? Not just to use it.
Whatever.
Did you bring it to Maine?
No, we had too many vehicles, so I just
Oh,
rode.
okay.
It's too many people, too many vehicles. It
Yeah,
was
that
really
makes
it
sense.
was unnecessary for me to bring it. Like
Yeah. So you didn't get to bring your 4-wheel drive off roading.
we didn't do any off roading, so plus
I
we needed certain vehicles in service, so that's why I had to drive Jordan's
the
Xterra.
Xterra.
We needed yeah,
So
we needed a body to drive stuff.
I did
What's
some
that?
off roading.
Oh, you
I
did?
did some off roading this weekend. Yeah. I went to Crown King,
Yeah.
which is a town here in Arizona that's accessible only with high clearance vehicles. Um,
Seems inconvenient.
it Yes, but it's also cool. So the entrance to the road to get there is only like 30 minutes away from my house. I'd never been up there. It's up. They call it the Senator Highway. It's not really a highway; it's a dirt path off the actual Interstate 17. Um,
So do people live there?
I think so. I know there's like stores and stuff. Um, Actually, I just pulled it up on Wikipedia. There's 133 people that live there.
Hmm.
So it's a former gold mine town,
All right.
and pretty much all but abandoned. Um, Hopefully, I can try to, when you're out here, try to get access to a truck that we can go use to get up there. It's super cool. Um, it's like I said, the whole entire trip was like, if we hadn't stopped, it would have been an hour and a half to 2 hours door to door. And the temperature difference was 30 degrees because the elevation difference is almost 6,000 feet. So super neat, like quick escape from here. And a little outside the town, a little further up, there's tons of camping too. So you can go up there and like camp for an evening and be back at home in no time at all. So super cool, like quick getaway place. My friend Derek from work, the one who has the There Will Be Cars YouTube channel, gets
Yeah.
pressers, and he had a presser of a Toyota Tacoma Trail Edition, like a brand new 2022. So we took that out and took that up there, and in air conditioned comfort, while we watched other people in the 100-degree temperatures at the base in their side by side sweating. But we were in the air conditioned Toyota pickup truck, which is a much better way to do it, I think.
Another reason why I don't understand a side by side out there.
No, I don't either. There's so many reasons to not have one. I don't understand
you,
reasons to have one.
you could do all the off roading in a pickup truck that you own that you can also
Yep,
drive to work and then use
correct.
it as pickup truck.
Correct.
it, it's like a side by side is like having a jet ski. Like it's
Sure.
fun, but it
Sure.
only does one thing.
Well, out here they do more than one thing because you can technically drive your side by side to work out here.
If I lived
So
on a lake, I could drive it to work. My jet ski.
sure, but what I'm saying is there's no law against driving these things on the street out here. You could just jump on the highway and just drive to work. It's not a big deal.
Except just being murdered by the sun. But
Well, yeah, you would want to, but you could, is what I'm saying. And I mean, a top of the line 4-door side by side is like 35 grand. You can buy a lot of truck for 35 grand.
yeah, weird.
So, anyway,
It's funny
whatever.
because I rode around in Andy's Tacoma.
So we're both in Tacomas all weekend.
Yep.
Excellent.
I don't know what yours his is, but
I think it's a 19 or an 18. It's either an 18 or a 19. It's really
uh,
new. Anyway, it was good. I mean,
I learned it came with a factory GoPro mount to the windshield, which is
yes.
I was like we were sitting in there waiting at remote refuel, and I was like, "Oh, did you put this GoPro mount up here? It's got the window black goes around it." He's like, "Nope, that's factory." I was like, "What? It's so
Yeah.
weird."
So you can catch yourself being extreme.
Yeah.
So this one is not the TRD Pro. It's the Tacoma Trail Edition.
It's not a Turd Pro.
It's kind of neat actually because it gets some of the more important stuff from the TRD Pro without a lot of the like extra ephemera that cost more. So it costs like 5 or 6 grand less than a TRD Pro, but you get the
Yeah.
skid plates. You get skid plates. You get an inch and a half of factory lift. You get the next size up tire, and you get a rear electric locker.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it has all the stuff you'd want for going off road without all the extra like stuff the TRD has. Which I don't even know what it is, but I mean, this thing here was actually it was a pretty neat truck, and I mean, I don't want to
Was
say
it
that
40
they're
grand?
so the base price on the Tacoma crew cab is 36, and with this package, the package added I want to say $3,700, and then with all the other little things that it had, it came up to 43.
GoPro
So
mount was $1,000.
right, but the thing is though, in a world where the average new car is 35 grand,
Yeah.
I mean 43 for this truck isn't a big deal. It seems like a pretty good deal. I have a very hard time saying that because I want to pay like $4,800, but that's just my broke ass that doesn't like to pay for things.
Well,
So
in 2065, you can buy one of these for
no, you
4,500
probably
bucks.
can't because a 1985 Toyota pickup truck is 100 grand now, so it doesn't matter. There are 80s pickup trucks, Toyota pickup trucks now that are closing in on six figures, and it's scaring me. The market doesn't make sense.
I wonder what the pricing is on the Frontier. I drove a rental one. It was all
It's
right. The
about
new
the
one.
same as a new Tacoma, but
Yeah.
the good news with the Frontier is a used one is a bargain compared to a Tacoma. So yeah, I did that whole after going off road, I need an off road vehicle again moment, in which I want a Montero, but also I was like, I guess I could deal with an Xterra or a Frontier.
Yeah. After
So
driving Jordan's Xterra, I was like, well, if I had to replace the Montero, I would look for an Xterra
yeah, they're not bad
because it's the
vehicles,
closest thing.
and the Frontier is pretty convenient because it's also a pickup truck. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, nonetheless, I had a good time. It's neat. It's good to get away when it's 110 degrees here, 115 degrees to a place that's 85 degrees. Because also at 6,000 feet there's no humidity, and 85 with no humidity is perfect. So it was a good day, and I want to go back. I want to spend some time up there and actually camp up there and do some other stuff. So just need to buy a vehicle. Eventually we'll get there.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much
Anything
it.
else?
I think that's pretty much it. I haven't done anything else. I mean, that's a lot actually.
Yeah.
So
This was longer than I expected.
yeah, I got that. Yeah, I'll just leave it there. Everything else is fine.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go.
I won't have. I don't think we're going to do an episode next week. If you want to find another greatest hits episode, I will be away, so I won't be doing anything car related. So I won't have anything. But
Yeah. We'll have to come up with a. Maybe you can pick one. I picked the last couple ones.
sure, I want
Think of
to
one you
do
like.
the
What's
gas
your
pump
favorite
one.
one? We'll replay it.
Yep,
So yeah, next week when
we're going to
you
replay the
hear
one
it.
about the attendant at gas stations.
Oh right.
That's a good one.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll go back and get that one. So yeah, next week when you guys tune in, we'll you'll have a repeat episode. But I don't know. It's good because some people haven't listened to the older ones.
Nope.
And then you can hang out with us on Discord. We'll be there.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be there all
So
week.
yeah, hit us up for the link. You can come play. We've had a couple more people join.
Yeah, we're closing in on
Some
I think 20 people over there, so it's a fun little
yeah,
conversation.
some good little spirited discussions. Most people have the same kind of opinion on
We have
most cars,
the
but
same
occasionally we have some
general
disagreements, which is
we have
pretty
the
fun.
same general opinions, which is good, but we have our own opinions about those general opinions. So
Yeah,
it's
it's fun though.
it's a
And
good place
actually,
to
I've been
escape.
posting.
It's a good place to escape the rest of the internet because it's all cars.
Yeah, and I've actually been posting more of Project Car stuff there than anywhere else. So
Yep, I've
you
noticed
want to
that
see what's going on.
my Instagram usage has gone down a little bit because I've been posting there instead.
Well, they made it really annoying lately, so it's just like tons and tons of videos. I had to like really work on my feed to make it not just videos, and it's super
Yeah,
annoying.
I'm not
So
sure how to do that yet. It's what it is. What it is. Well,
But
anyway,
yeah.
excellent. So where can they find
All
you,
right.
Andrew? Other than on Discord, where they should find you.
Well, on Instagram, of course. Race and Anger. I'm on Twitter, Race and Anger. Podcast is Auto Off Topic on Instagram. Auto Off Topic Podcast on Facebook. However, we're not on there very much. Mostly Instagram. Scale Autocast. I haven't seen you do any posts lately, Brad, but
It's been
we'll
a
have to get back
busy
to
week.
that.
I have a bunch lined up on the docket. So
Cool. I know I got
I'll,
a bunch of new cars I need to take some photos of. So
yeah, I have that as well. But I also have a bunch lined up. So we'll get there.
and
It's been a busy week. Everything that's been extracurricular has fallen behind, unfortunately.
I swear we're working on an episode of that podcast.
Yeah, well, it's
Um,
life's been tough. We'll get there.
um, but yeah, Brad, where can they find you?
So they can find me as always on Instagram at TSISS350, as we previously discussed on the Discord app. And that's really the main places to see me. So find me there.
All right, cool. As always, keep cars analog and aim for the road.